Being recorded.
Can y'all hear me? Got some back play here. What's up, guys? We made it. Last day. All right, man. Everybody okay? We're here pretty much. And I got people driving. Y'all be careful, please, this morning. Let's give everybody a second to get on here. We got a few more. Okay, quick side note. Philip Carrero is his second year of teaching. He does not understand how things work. He has an 8 o'clock lab this morning. That did not mean y'all could all cut class and take the damn lab final at 8 o'clock. Really? Y'all got more sense than that, right? If you have a cut, you have a right to do that. But if you want to do that, y'all should at least ask me before we do it, okay? Because I know half of y'all are in Philip's lab, and he didn't think about the fact, he was just trying to be nice, but he forgot the fact that we have another lecture this morning. And you're not, and just FYI, taking online classes or anything, you're not supposed to cut your lectures to go take an online test. That's a big issue we have, or take another final. We shouldn't schedule a final anytime where you would have to go cut another class, okay? Not being ugly, but if you have a cut and you want to do it, that's fine. I may or may not get today's lecture online. I haven't got yesterday's up yet. I don't think I have, what is today? Wednesday? I don't think I got Monday or Tuesday up. So I've been a little busy here flipping the schedule. And I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. I'm just saying, hey, if you want to do something crazy, I should have had, because we're going to be done. Maybe he give it at 10. I know he's going to be up here, but if some of y'all want to come up here and catch lecture and then jump in there, we're doing ours at 12, right? Because I have to be meeting at 11. But I think he must be giving it this morning at 8 or 9. I don't know why. I haven't talked to him about. Well, he has an 8 o'clock lab that we were able to give him. That's only for the 4 week. It's a 4 week period class like y'all's. Anyway, so I'm sorry. You know, I wish we should have talked about that yesterday when we was all up here in lab, and we might could have arranged it a little bit differently. Okay, FYI. All right, let's get rolling, and let's try to knock this out so y'all can get over here for the final, and we can get it done, wrap this thing up. So tomorrow, make sure we're all on the same page. 9 o'clock, right? First 3 floors on the first floor, right? Same drill. Last test in the morning, and we'll wrap it up, right? We'll be done. Y'all have a little bit of break. Some of y'all are coming back for the second half, right? Next month with Miss Nickens. She is wonderful. She's one of my favorite people on earth. Y'all love her. Y'all definitely love her, like her better than y'all like me, I'm sure. So anyway, but I have enjoyed y'all. It's been a good group, been a fun month. This is really fast. I'm sorry if some of y'all got in this, if it's just too much, but this is the beast that we have. This is 3.5 weeks or 4 weeks, and this is about the speed of nursing, right? So those of y'all that holding on to an A&B, y'all probably gonna be fine in nursing, right? It's a good indicator whether y'all can do it. Had a good talk with one of y'all yesterday about how much you can do in the summer, and I really appreciate those conversations y'all had with me. All right, let's get rolling. I'm gonna start where I've got us right here where we stopped at. I'm gonna try to share the screen. We're recording, everything's looking good. Okay, see if this thing's gonna work. Y'all got that? There we go. Y'all can see that. Excellent. Y'all got it? Let me try to pull y'all out here a little bit so I can watch y'all. Had a great picture of Megan sleeping, y'all. Megan and who was it, Molly, that fell asleep during Monday's lecture. So I showed it to my lab. I'll try to send it to y'all tonight in an email. That was funny. So Megan, you awake over there, dear? I'm picking.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm just giving you a hard time, dear. That was so funny. But anyway, having a little fun today. All right. We were talking about this. Remember, we talked about this is actually caused by, oh, we got more people coming in, dragging in. Here we go. But anyway, viruses and tumors can cause this where the nerve is pinched. And my friend had the aneurysm, right? I'll try to be fast today. All right. Here is a little, I got like all these little weird ways of memorizing stuff. And here's a good one for how to learn the nerves. You're not going to have to list them, but we will have them what? On multiple choice questions, right? What some of these do. Okay, so no, mainly their function. No, once again, y'all hear about, and I'm not being ugly, but traditionally about 20% of what I say is listened to. So no diagrams tomorrow. Is that clear? No diagrams tomorrow. 50 questions over, big comprehensive questions over everything we covered in chapters 1 through 14. And then 50 specifically off the new material, off the nervous systems. What is it? 11, 12, 13, 14, or whatever it is, 12, 13, 11, 12, 13, 14. And the 3 short answer questions, right? Action potential, how nerves regenerate in the pre-NS and not the CNS. And then today we're going to have one where you're going to give me 4 differences between the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, which is in chapter 14. My goal is to be out of here by 9:30. Okay, so I'm really going to try to cut it down and get y'all out of here. I know some of y'all are driving over here to take the lab test, and I appreciate y'all. I really appreciate y'all all taking it at 12. And if some of y'all, if I mess some of y'all up and you need to take it, I'm sure I think Philip will be here. I know you can take it with me at 12 if you needed to. You know, we're doing the same thing. But anyway, I'll work with y'all. All right, let's move on. Here we go. Get you some coffee out. All right, now the next little part are the spinal nerves. I'm not going to go crazy here. So let's just do what we did yesterday. Let's look at it. Let's appreciate it. And if I see something super important, I'll tell y'all. Like, don't forget the nerve tracks yesterday, right? Those nerve tracks are on the test. Okay, so here we are once again looking at the spinal cord, and take a look at this. Remember, sensory's coming in the posterior side. Now they flipped it here. This is toward the back. That's towards your face over here. Here's the body of the vertebrae. And we see these little knots here called ganglion. Okay, and we've already remember a ganglion is just a bunch of cell bodies, right, of neurons. Okay, remember? So we got a little bit of weird stuff there. Sensory comes in here, motor function comes out. Okay, then we have this structure here. This is called an anterior ramus. It's where all these fibers come together, and they're going to go out into the arm, and then farther down the vertebrae, they'll go down the leg. So ramuses are nothing more than clusters of nerve fibers bundled together, like packaged together. Okay, don't make it the terminology any more difficult than it is. Here it is again, showing you how some of the nerves work, right? So sensory neurons would come in the back, right? We saw that in the back. Remember, we put the epidural right here. The nerve tracks for sensation are right here. Then they'll go up the spinal cord, and then they might come back down to tell us to move that leg. And then the motor function is red. It will come out here and then go down to the arm or leg. So everybody see that? It's kind of cool. Now look, I'm not going to put, I don't know how I could test this, but it's just kind of cool to see how God made these, how these nerves come and go out of the spinal cord, right? Pretty cool. All right, now the spinal nerves, we already talked about this. There are 8 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar and sacral nerves, and then there's one that comes right out. Remember the hole, the sacral canal in the sacral bone, and there's a hole at the end called the sacral hiatus. That is where that coccygeal nerve comes out. Okay, so that coccygeal comes out that very end. Now, when these nerves come out of the vertebrae, a lot of times they bundle together and form like a superset of nerves called a plexus. Now, I love how all these weight loss drugs, probably all these people making these weight loss supplements, which are all 99% scams, they're basically dirt with amphetamines or speed or something to fire up your metabolism with caffeine. Most of them have lots of caffeine. So somebody probably took A&P, heard that word plexus, and now that's a big weight loss pill, right? Plexus, y'all heard of that, right? I got friends trying to sell me that stuff, right? But anyway, I like how a lot of the weight loss drugs have words from A&P. My favorite one is Cortislim, okay? From the cortisone, corticosteroids, and that was one a couple years ago, Cortislim. I'm like, wow, that sounds like a hormone name, okay? But anyway, so here are our major plexuses. Look at this. Cervical are these C1 through 5. That's called the cervical plexus. C5 through T1 go down the arm. That's the brachial plexus. And then we have L1 through 4 that form kind of a lumbar plexus, and L4 through S5 form the sacral plexus going down. Here's a nice picture showing the cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, and that one little nerve coming out there, that CO1 coccygeal nerve. Okay. All right. And now I'm not going to do a lot of this next little part, so I'm not going to make you know these at all. We're not going to go detail here. We'll let you take that if you take a more advanced anatomy class. I'm just telling you right now, this ain't on the test. But here are what C2, 3, 1, 3, what they all do. Notice there's a lot of overlapping here. Sensory to skin, to the ear, the glenoid, move the tongue, chest, shoulder, skin receptors for the chest and shoulder, and then diaphragm. So it's very important that you have C3 and C5 functioning. So people who break their vertebrae above C3, between C3 and C5, lose the ability to breathe on their own. Breathing is very cool. It's an autonomic nervous thing. So you sleep at night, you breathe. But if it gets damaged by the vertebrae, then you lose that ability. I also had just another weird one here, but my doctor friend was telling me that when he was doing his residency at St. Jude, at UT Baptist up in Memphis, that every night they had 4 or 5 people that would come in who had brain damage in their medulla oblongata that controls breathing. Pons, they had like a tumor in that brain stem, and they lost their ability to automatically breathe. Okay, so like if they fall asleep watching TV at night, they're dead. So they come in like at 10:30 or 11 at night and be put on a breathing machine so they can sleep at night and not die in their sleep. So they have to consciously go, wait just a second, my oxygen level's low. So they can still consciously breathe, but they cannot automatically breathe. And you think you've had a bad day. Okay, that is a bad way to be. But that makes me think of it there with that particular one. Okay, here's a good one for hiccups. And I don't know if it works or not, but check this out. By squeezing in the back of your neck, you squeeze the phrenic nerve and you will actually stop the hiccups. Before I saw this one, the best one I'd ever seen was just to close your door in a car door. Put your hand and close it in the car door. Pain somewhere else seems to override the hiccups. A hiccup is a muscle spasm of the diaphragm. So it's a muscle spasm of the diaphragm. Pretty cool. All right, moving on. Here is it, looking more at the plexus going up here. Nothing, I don't have any of this. Here's the actual cadaver showing the brachial plexus coming out. And you can see if you're a neurosurgeon, there's a lot going on here, right? But I'm not going to worry about it. Here is the brachial plexus going down the arm. Once again, I'm not going to put any of these, no detail on this, other than I might say, if I did something, it would be, what's the plexus going down the arm? Brachial. That's as deep as we're going to go. Sorry, I hadn't got all my coffee in this morning. But you can see how God bundles these together and what they do. So we have an axial, radial, muscular, cutaneous nerve, medial nerve, ulnar nerve, and their functions. And notice there's a lot of overlapping here. So in case you cut one nerve, then you still may have control over some of that. So God's all in the backup on this stuff. Okay, very cool. All in the backup. I ain't gonna go there. Okay, then here's the thoracic, the lumbar plexus going down the leg and the back. Okay, and then here's the lumbar plexus going down the leg. So we're just gonna kind of skip through these. We've had enough anatomy. I hope I've given you enough anatomy where you feel like you got your money's worth, okay? But I'm just not gonna make you learn all that. Okay, and then the sacral plexus going down through the sacrum. Remember those holes in the sacrum, right? These are where these nerves come out. So that's something I probably didn't say enough of, but all those holes in the skull and in these bones usually are where blood vessels and nerves come through. Here's the longest one in the body, the sciatica nerve. Has anybody had trouble with this yet? Y'all all young, you probably haven't. Anybody's mom and dad have sciatic nerve problems? Man, I have dealt with that the last couple of years where you cannot sit down. I mean, I was going to go on a trip, like a 2,000-mile car trip, and I had to end up going to a physical massage therapist that helped me get the pressure off that. And so what happens here, look at this. This is crazy. But this sciatic nerve, here it is, let me show it to you. Longest nerve in the body right here. It sticks to the femur. And so what happens in sciatic nerve pain, the muscle fascia and the bone fascia grab it, and that squeezes it and it causes severe pain. So the treatment is to do physical therapy to pull the nerve off the bone. And the best way to do it is to take one of those rolling balls and put all your weight on it and roll up and down that like you're a seesaw on your leg, and you can feel the muscle pulling off the bone, y'all. It's extremely painful. But that's the only way you can get relief, okay? Crazy, I'm telling you. But I pray y'all never have sciatic nerve problems. But I've dealt with that one now for a couple of years, probably because of my knee being messed up, and I probably walked weird and it pinched it somewhat. But anyway, y'all may deal with that one. Now, remember that phantom pain I was telling you about? We're actually going to get those in this chapter. I forgot they were in this chapter, but look at this. Here is the map, and I wish they'd just put the whole girl instead of half a girl, front and back. It's kind of weird. But here are the plexuses and nerves that all the sensation in that body part goes to your brain. Now, once again, I have no idea how we put this on test. Let's just go, thank you, God, that's awesome. Give him a thumbs up. But isn't that crazy? Look at all that. So it's possible for you to damage like a lateral femoral cutaneous nerve, and you don't feel anything right here, okay? So these are the nerves that do the sensation in our skin, okay? And here are others that move certain muscles, okay? So these are the nerves going to muscle areas, okay? And then we're going to talk about sensation here, and we kind of going along here. Goes back to, now this, remember I did this when we did axe potential, right? You still put a needle in your finger. If the sensory receptor gets squeezed enough, you open up sodium channels and you get an action potential, just like we've been talking about, right? There it is. And if that stimulates enough, a fly won't stimulate it. A tick won't stimulate it, but obviously this probe does. Then you get an action potential that is going to go up to the spinal cord and tell us that something's going on. Okay, we have other receptors to detect stimuli originating outside the body. These are interoceptors to detect things inside the body. And we have mechanoreceptors on all of our nerves and all of our muscles and joints that move and fire action potentials based on being stretched. So mechanoreceptors are very common. We have thermoreceptors detecting temperature, and chemoreceptors in our nose and tongue to detect different chemicals, in our blood to detect levels of chemicals in our blood. So they just fire an action potential if they bind to the chemical. Photoreceptors detect wavelengths of light that they fire as an action potential, okay? And nocoreceptors usually are slow to adapt, and these are some of the pain receptors and pain inhibitor ones here. Hot peppers. How many of y'all like hot wings? Who likes hot wings? Okay, who's ever been to what is it, Buffalo Wild Wings, and had the highest one? Absolutely crazy, is it not, Jasmine, Olivia? Absolute nuts. I got one story today. I'll try to limit it to one or two. But actually, one of my mentorees that came up through my youth group, who lives in California, was in town last night, and I cooked him supper. So I always tell this story, but I'll definitely tell it since he was there eating at my house last night with his wife. They're here visiting. We went to a Grizzly game one night. There's 4 of us. We came back to Wild Wings, and we all ate our regular wings. And one of the older guys, maybe older than me, said, "Hey, y'all, let's try the super hot one. And let's see if they'll let us order 4, and let's just try them, you know, with this Caspian very hot pepper on it, pepper salt, pepper chemical." And so they said, "You got to buy 6." So we played this game. So we all sat down. We got 4 little plates, and we all got one and set it down. And we said, "Get on your mark, get set, go." And here's what we played. The last 2 to finish have got to eat the other 2, kind of like a punishment. So I reach over my hot wing because I'm going to blow it down. And when I do, that Caspian goes up into my nose and opens all my sinuses, and all my snot runs down on that wing. So I paused and didn't eat it for like 3 seconds, and then I ate it anyway. And I came in, yes, Faith, I come in third. This boy at my house last night named Brandon, he came in fourth. And so now we had to eat another one. And he was about to have an anaphylactic. He was like having trouble breathing. So he said, let me take a break. Let me run to the bathroom and just kind of get my act together before I eat the other one. Y'all, he went to the bathroom, came back, sat down, and me and him finna eat the other two. He says, guys, something's wrong. I'm burning. I'm burning up, y'all. I'm burning up. And I'm like, drink some water, drink some milk. And he goes, no, I'm burning up down here. He had not washed his hands and went and used the bathroom and was burning his penis. I'm going to use, I don't get in trouble if I use biology words. I was going to say a slang word, but he was on fire. So we actually went and made everybody leave the male bathroom, and me and two other guys wouldn't let anybody go in where he washed himself in the sink, of which I've never been back in. So I've never been back to Wild Wings in South Haven because of this. I can't look at that sink and think of what happened in that sink. And so I just, I would warn y'all, look, later on, he ended up having stomach problems. So he did that a lot. He ate a lot of hot wings, and he burnt his stomach up. So I would strongly recommend y'all not do stupid stuff like that. But really, this is very dangerous stuff. Can be, and anything that can burn your genitals just because you went to the bathroom, I don't think we need to be eating. True story. Sorry if that scared y'all. Sorry. Shingles, another bad one. This is the chickenpox virus that is still in everybody that had chickenpox. I had chickenpox as a kid. You can develop. It can come back out of hibernation and cause these very painful rashes on the end of your nerve endings on your skin, called shingles. And so I hope most of y'all had the vaccine for chickenpox, right? If you haven't had it, go get the darn thing. You want to take it. And that'll probably prevent you from ever having shingles. I had a good friend of mine that went to the hospital feeling chest pain. We were talking about chest pains the other day. I think somebody's talking about acid reflux. I got a guy that's like a vampire. He looks like he's 55, he's 75, 80 years old, one of my best friends. He went to the doctor hurting in the chest. They looked at him. They did an MRI. They did a heart cath, couldn't find nothing. He goes home a couple weeks later. He goes in for another doctor's visit, and he says, I'm still having chest pains. Doctor took his shirt off, and he had shingles right in the middle of his back. So he had shingles on the back of his skin, and nobody looked at his back. And that was hurting, and that's what he thought was a heart attack. Bam. Always check the patient, ladies and gentlemen. Look everywhere. You know, they may have a tick or something in them. They got Lyme disease or something. All right, real quick, looking at different receptors. We've already seen all these. Look, remember, tactile was the Meissner corpuscle, Pacinian corpuscle. Here's another one that's stretching called referent ending, or stretch and movement. And here's another one, mercurial ones that allow us to do fine touch, a little bit more fine touch than the Meissner corpuscle here. So anyway, a lot more receptors in the skin than anywhere else in the human body. All right. Look at this. Co-receptors work. This has always shocked me. Co works best between 50 and 104 degrees. Heat works best between 90 and 118. And so if you've ever been to Vegas or Death Valley in the summer, and I have, it was 120 degrees at midnight when I was out there 2 or 3 years ago in July. You can't feel anything hotter than 118. But then somebody said, well, maybe in hell you're a spirit and you can feel more heat, right? But as far as physical body, anything above 118, you can't feel anything hotter than that. And above that, you get the feeling of burning, of pain kicks in. The nociceptors kick in. So anything below these ranges, then that's pain receptors. Pretty fascinating. Okay, once again, nothing much here, just talking about how they fire. Okay, and now you can see, so I step on a nail, it runs in, that posterior lobe goes to the spinal cord, sends a nerve up to the spinal cord, to my brain to tell me what's going on. Okay. Nothing much here. This is a cool one. We do a lab on this in our lab book. Different areas have more nerve endings per square inch. The most we have are our lips, face, hands, and genitals. Okay, back of your arm, you're not got much detail right back here, right? So if somebody's kissing you here, you don't know if it's a dog or a rat or something. So in other words, we can do an experiment. Look at this, where we can tell, like for example, this is skin on the forehead. Look, 2 receptors, 3 receptors in that whole square. Here, they're like 8. And so a 2-point discrimination threshold is how close can you distinguish 2 things touching you? On the forearm, it's 40 millimeters. On the fingers, it's 3 millimeters. Does everybody get it? Because you have more what? receptors on your fingertips, right? So you have more touch sensation there. Okay, pretty cool. And we have wrote one on that so you can tell. So even here, that's what that looks like. And here is this one. So you have more receptors, so you have more touch sensation. Pretty cool. And here is a dermatology map of, and the next slide is the one I talked about, referred pain. Once again, I wish they'd done the whole thing here, because look at the butt. It's a daggum dartboard. Okay, coccygeal 0 is the anus, and as you work out, or excuse me, S0, and it kind of actually CO is in the middle. Then it comes out S 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like a darn dartboard. But those are the nerves that sensation goes to. Now here's the picture I talked about yesterday. Look at that. This is one of my favorite pictures. Referred pain is when you feel a pain in an area that's not causing that. I think Faith asked me yesterday about heart attack. Look, there it is. Right there, right? Acid reflux. Right? See where I'm pointing is? But look, more important, look, the heart, the pinky on the left side hand only, and the whole inside. If you wake up and you feel like somebody's taking a knife right here and has your pinky in a vice grip, you're having a heart attack. That's probably my favorite one. Look, if you're feeling like a lot of pain on your top right shoulder, you may have gallbladder or liver cancer. If you have feel like you're pain over here, you got diaphragm, and you may have lung cancer. Okay. Look at this yellow down here. That is pretty much urinary kidneys. Anywhere in here, kidneys and ureters are having trouble. Right here in the middle, right under the genitals there, urinary bladder. Right in the butt, you may have a bladder infection or bladder tumor. Here's another one. How many of you, I hope you've never done this, but sometimes you urinate and you feel like you urinate down your leg. That's probably a bacterial infection, a little bacterial infection right in there that's giving you that fake sensation. A lot of area for the stomach up in the back of the neck. Stomach, that's way high for the stomach, right? I mean, come on, stomach's down here, but that's where you feel that. Esophagus, here. Pretty cool to me. Actually had a former student that emailed me a couple months ago. She was probably 30 or 40 and took the class, and she moved off, married a guy, moved off, and she was down in her basement one day doing laundry in her new house and felt like her pinky was in a vice grip. And she remembered this lecture, y'all, got her cell phone and dialed an ambulance, and they got her right to the hospital before she had a massive heart attack. They got stents in her, and she actually thanked me for telling a stupid story that might have saved her life. Okay, I thought which was pretty cool thought. But hopefully, you know, but that's something you tell your parents. If they feel pain down that left arm or in the armpit, go to a doctor. And worst case scenario, it was the acid reflux or something, right? I love that picture. So me, this is why acupuncture works, right? We talked about this yesterday, right? So that has been a proven scientific thing. Okay, summarizing it all again, nothing much there, nothing much. That's just showing you how all this is the big picture. I think I'll do something, and it goes and fires down, and then you do it, right? Actually, here's the nerve impulse coming in that I stepped on a nail. Maybe you decide to move your leg. Okay. And it goes down and moves the arm in this case. So all that is just showing you how it all works together. Now, our next thing is something I find really crazy. I have a lot of fun with this one. How many of y'all have heard of reflexes? Okay, now check this out. A reflex is an automatic response of your body to stimulation without consciousness being involved. Now, I used to say without the brain, but there are reflexes that involve the brain, like the light reflex when the cop shines a light in your eye at a license check / I'm looking for high people drug check. Those are mainly drug techs, right? So if you're drunk, they shine a light in your eyes. If your eyes, pupils don't constrict, you've been smoking crack tonight, okay? Or you've been doing illegal drugs, very likely. Then Megan has to get out and do the walking around, right? Yeah, and then if you get some crazy cop, you may have a whole movement named after you right after this, right? I mean, serious, this is crazy. I'm worried about our cops. They need to chill out, man. Anyway, get me started on that. So reflexes are automatic responses that God put into our body to move parts to protect them without the brain having to decide on it. Think of it like this. I put my hand on a skillet. Neurotransmission goes to my brain. Brain then decides, okay, y'all, we got some heat in the left hand. Why don't we confirm that by the eye? All those in favor say aye, the ayes have it. Now let's move our head. Yep, we're burning over there. That hand's on fire. Let's just double check, though, because it might not be real. Let's check the nose to see if we smell burning flesh, right? By the time you do that, you melted your hand. So God said, forget all that. Heat on hand, spinal cord, back down, move hand. And if you've ever put your hand on a skillet, your hand is moving before you cuss, because your arm is already coming off that skillet before you even consciously know you're on fire. Really fascinating. Okay, let me show you how they work on a biological level. Look at this. So we're going to have a sensory sensation. The CNS is going to make the call to do something, and then a motor effector then moves it appropriately. Okay. Now there are several types of these, and I'll show you a couple of them. We have all types in these. These are kind of a weird term. I don't know why they call it this, but Golgi tendon organs and our receptors. This is how we hold a cup of milk as mother pours it, because it's getting heavier, right? And that reflex is just keeping you from throwing the cup down or throwing it over your head. So as the weight gets heavier, the reflex just automatically adjusts your tension in your muscles. Very cool. Okay. Now, the most common is just a simple stretch reflex, or we can do the patella knee reflex. I've got a picture of it right here. Here's the one with the cup. Look, so fill the cup up, and that reflex adjusts the tension on that arm. Y'all have all seen the knee, right? If we lab, I would bring the hammer into lab. Here's one on my desk, right? Have one right here, and I would hit you right in the patella, and I can make that leg come up. I probably had 3 people in 30 years, I couldn't find it, but they'd all had knee surgery and stuff. So that sends a nerve impulse to the spinal cord right back down the leg to move that muscle. And your mind has no control over it. Have a picture of that coming up. Here's the coach, and the withdrawal flexion is when you grab something hot or sharp or hot or cold. Here it is. Actually, this is one of the weird ones. I don't know why they didn't put a good one on here, but here's a weird one. Look at this. This is called the cross extension reflex. This picture actually saved my marriage. Okay, real true story. So normal reflexes, look, hand on skillet, spinal action potential, the spinal cord. The spinal cord then goes right back down with another action potential to move that muscle. So no brain involved. Okay, now look at this one. This is the weird one. You step on a nail, that goes up the spinal cord, sends an action potential back down. There it is. Look, here it is going up. Actually, it ain't out here. It's right up in the nerves. You know, it's inside the body. And then an action potential from the gray matter of the spinal cord sends an action potential out down to the thigh muscles to pick that leg up. So that leg picks up. Your right leg picks up. That's a normal reflex, right? You step on a nail, pick that leg up. But sometimes it jumps across the spinal cord to the other body part and makes you kick the other leg out in the opposite direction. Okay, so here's the equivalent on an oven. I put my hand on the oven, this hand does this, and this one goes, woo! Right? Y'all get that? So it can happen up in the arms too. So you put your hand on a skillet, and this other arm's going to go like, going to sling out while this one slings up. Okay? I think there's a great movie plot here where, Faith and her husband are on some beautiful abandoned island, and they're cooking, because cooking can be real fun, right? And as a couple, right? That's a lot of cool romantic stuff. And her husband's got a 12-inch blade in his right hand and puts his hand on the skillet and stabs it right in her throat, right? And then we find out he bought $2 million worth of insurance on Faith the week before. Then he gets on the cell phone crying, I just killed my wife accidentally. 37812. And it's going to take an hour to get there, right? Okay. All right. So here's what happened in my marriage. So we're about married, like our second year marriage, and I bought a brand new white couch for my wife. Beautiful white couch. And back in the day, we didn't have TiVo. You had to watch your show at 9 o'clock on Thursday if you want to watch Hill Street Blues or ER. We used to love ER. And there's no taping it unless you had a $800 VHS tape, and I didn't have one. So during the commercial break, you had to go to the bathroom, get your sandwich, get your popcorn, get your drink, and you had to get back in there in 30 seconds before the show started back. Y'all have no concept of this with Netflix, right? You can watch a whole series, right? Y'all have no idea how life used to be. So I got 30 seconds. I run the bathroom. I pick a big old jumbo thing of popcorn in my left hand, and I've got an 82-ounce Diet Coke in my right hand. I'm talking about huge Diet Coke. I run into the den. I hear my show start, and I run in there, and I catch the facing of the door on my shoulder, and I hit that nerve. I throw the popcorn down and threw an 82-ounce Diet Coke right in my wife's face, ruining the couch, ruining her white dress. And we didn't have no kids. Our language was probably about like y'all's right now. A lot of 4-letter words, really nasty exchange, almost divorce, until I went and got the book and showed her this picture in the A&P book. Because I did not consciously throw the Coke on her. It just like that knee reflex. If you ever had a knee done, it pops up. I just threw that right, and she's looking at me right. I mean, like it was point blank. I was 5 feet away from her. I mean, it was like me just taking your breakfast and just slinging it on you. You know what I'm saying? It was not a pretty scene. So remember that if you accidentally ever do something like that, right? I mean, because you can have a reflex and throw a plate. You could throw a knife. I don't know, maybe shoot a gun accidentally. I don't know if that could happen, but still, if anybody ever had the knee reflex done, you know how weird that feels? That's what my arm felt like. I just had no control and it just threw the whole thing over there. It was bad. It was a bad scene. Sorry. Other ones here. There's a gag reflex. Y'all know that. Go stick a pencil down your throat and you'll throw up, right? Okay. There's the blink reflex on the eye. We already talked about that. A whole bunch of them. Here's one that we can do called the plantar reflex, where you take a spoon and you can hold your husband down and take the spoon and rub it up like this. They should have had this going up, and the toes will pinch in. Okay, and little children, this won't work on infants or people under the age of 2 or 3 because their nerves have not myelinated yet, and their toes will flare out like this. Now, if you do this on an adult, they have spinal damage. How many of y'all seen those ER movies? And y'all gonna learn this. How many of y'all watch these? We watch too many of those in my home. And they bring people in the ER and they take their shoes off. I always thought, man, why are they still in these people's shoes? They're not even dead yet, right? They're doing this reflex because if you get this, then they have spinal injury, and then it's real serious. You got to be very careful and start looking for a break in the spinal cord. You get your toes curled down, you're good to go. You don't have spinal damage. So there's a reason to take off shoes in the ER. Pretty cool. Nothing much here. ALS, this is a terrible disease, Lou Gehrig, right? Where the motor neurons are slowly being broken down and they're not working right. I have a brother-in-law that has a variation of this. He's completely disabled today. He should not be driving. His wife will not take his license. And what's so sad is that, and I don't mean to talk about people, but I'll just say it. He was an alcoholic, and I never saw him sober for 20 years. But he was not a mean alcoholic. He's that guy that would just drink a beer, and it was a lot of fun. He's always laughing and smiling, and he always had a beer in his hand. And so now when he gets pulled over, he's acting like he's drunk, and he ain't. He don't drink anymore, okay? You know, because we think the alcohol may have fried his nerves, okay? But he is not. He's about 62 or 3, and he's not having a good life, and it's just getting worse and worse. But ALS, they completely become a vegetable right before they die. And finally, they quit being able to breathe. A very bad way to go. Named after the baseball player. All right, we're ready for the last chapter, guys. We're making progress. Why don't we? Well, y'all want to take a quick break? Why don't y'all take a quick 5-minute break while I flip this around, and that way we maximize our time. Okay? Because y'all know me, I'll get lost here. So take a quick break. We won't take another break. We'll try to get this thing done quicker. Okay. Now, don't forget, I'm gonna pause the recording. Forget that. Okay. Review. The nervous system is broken down into the CNS, brain and spinal cord, and the PNS, peripheral nervous system. The CNS, we've already covered, was brain and spinal cord. The PNS were the 12 cranial nerves going out that y'all need to know what they do. And the 31 spinal pairs that come out of the spinal cord, right? And we don't need to know specifically what they do. I told you we'd have a little slack on that. Now, the peripheral nervous system is broken down into 2 groups of nerves. The somatic nerves are those that goes to muscles that we consciously control. So our entire legal system in America, criminal justice, is based on the fact that you cannot move skeletal muscle without consciously deciding to kill your husband or whatever, right? Or shoot the neighbor's dog. You consciously did that, okay? Leading to a big fight. Those nerves go directly to the skeletal muscle. They release acetylcholine, and we get a muscle contraction, which was another test that we're not going to talk about, right? We're not going to say that. We're not going to talk about that. The autonomic nervous system are those nerves from the peripheral nervous system coming out of the brain and spinal cord that come out and control the body that you do not consciously control, called the autonomic nervous system, which I have here on the slide. Okay, now, this one is divided into 2 groups, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. So I've now got a slide to go with my talk here. Now, this is, I've already said this once, but let's see if you're with me now. Now, this is the part that gets kind of weird. These two systems, these two divisions of the autonomic nervous system have two separate nerves coming to almost all the internal organs, right? Especially all the main organs that do all that keep us alive. The sympathetic nerves are going to speed up those organs that you need to stay alive for the next 5 to 10 seconds or minutes, like 2 minutes. So that is the fight or flight that we see in all animals. This is why the dog attacks you when you walk into his yard, because you scared him, and his normal response is to defend himself. This is why the possum plays dead. Okay, you know, all those things. So super cool to me, right? They're going to speed up heart rate, speed up breathing rate, going to cut off digestion, going to stop worried about boy-girl stuff. You ain't worried about hooking up when you're about to die, okay? We just, all of a sudden, that's not important, right? You know, we've seen the boys throw the little girls in front of the shooters, right? No chivalry, you know, you're just trying to save yourself, right? The parasympathetic nerves go to all the same organs, and they slow down the fight or flight organs, slow down heart rate, breathing rate, muscle tone, alertness. But they speed up all the housekeeping things, like digestion, liver function, you know, urinary, making kidneys. I used to make this sound. That's the sound of kidneys making urine, you know, and that's the large intestine packing, sucking water out of poo-poo. That's what it does, by the way, for A&P2. It sucks water out of the feces. That's what your large intestine does. So all of those are autonomic things, and they're sped up by the parasympathetic nerves, but they're slowed down by the sympathetic. So in my mind, I wish, and I'm not at all being critical of God here, it would have been cooler if I think if you'd have had an accelerator and a brake, but instead he has 2 accelerators, okay? But the parasympathetic is going to speed up housekeeping, but slow down fight or flight organs, and the sympathetic speeds up fight or flight organs, but slows down the parasympathetic. And so really, while you were sleeping last night, before y'all got up for my last lecture, it was your parasympathetic nervous system that was basically keeping you alive. It runs all the time, and it is mainly that cranial nerve, remember, the vagus nerve, remember? And so it's not part of the spinal cord. And in my opinion, that's my understanding of this. This is why paraplegics a lot of times are alive, but they've lost all sensation and they can't move anything because that's somatic. And they sometimes even lose the sympathetic nervous system because those are all cranial nerves and spinal nerves, and they've damaged their spinal cord, right? But remember, vagus is not a spinal cord nerve. It's a loosey-goosey nerve going down beside the spinal cord. I'm going to show it to you. All right. Question. Let's just take a second. We're in good shape. We're going to be done less than 30 minutes. What do you think about that? Y'all with me? Okay, so here's the short answer question. Number 1, what are 4 differences between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system? And I think y'all just got the first one. What's the difference? Number 1, sympathetic is what? Fight or flight, and parasympathetic speeds up housekeeping. So that's the first one, okay? Is that cool? That's the first difference. Okay? Let's look at some pictures and we'll get the second. So here we go. Now she is going to break it down into, they do them separately, right? And she's just showing how the stomach sends that information back in, autonomic nervous system from the visceral. The medulla oblongata tells them to go keep digestion going. So that's just showing it working, no big deal. Okay, and we're going to, I think she's going to look at, here's another way to look at it. Look, somatic nerves go directly to the muscle, right? Fire. And here's a good point. All the autonomic nerves have 2 neurons to reach the organ. So it's like God didn't have long extension cables. He had some short wires left, right? And he hooked them together. Like if you're trying to run some electricity out of y'all's barn on a farm, you just got to put 2 jumper cords together, right? You got 2 30-foot extension cords or 50 for 100-foot, you put them together. So to get both of these autonomic nerves, the sympathetic and parasympathetic, are going to have 2 nerves, okay? And that's going to come back to play in a minute, because that's going to be one of my differences in just a second. I'll show you. It's a little anatomical difference. Okay, so here they are. Here's number 2. Here's number 2. And I'll just go with this. Go with number 2. Sympathetic nerves usually have a short first nerve and a long second nerve. And the parasympathetics usually have a long first nerve and a short second nerve. Now, let me show you what I mean by that. Let me see if I can get the pen to work. And I'm probably going to make a terrible mistake trying to draw today because I'm still not very good at this. I'm gonna try it anyway. I'm feeling lucky. It's the last day. So sympathetic nerves do this. They have a short first nerve. Look, and here's the synapses, right? And a what? Long second nerve, and this is the target organ right there. That's where it wants to hit, right? So it's an anatomical thing. The parasympathetic and so look, here's nerve 1, here's nerve 2 over here. The parasympathetic has a long first nerve. That's the synapses. And the second nerve is real short. Everybody get that? That's our second difference. So God's got a short jumper cable extension cord on this one, then a long one, and then a long one and short one. Now I remember that because who does parasympathetic? Remember the vagus nerve. Remember the long nerve, the nerve from the head that goes all the way to all the organs I've been beating my brain talking about, right? So that makes sense, right? Because the vagus is a long nerve that goes from here down to my colon. Okay? But it has a synapses right here. And so these are synapses. Remember, where 2 neurons, an axon and a cell body dendrite come together. Now, to confuse y'all, we're going to call the first nerve the preganglion, the second nerve the postganglion, and the synapses is called the ganglion. One of my lovely coworkers has come in and she's now vacuuming. Let me close my door. Sorry. Is that Luke? Trying to lecture and she's got the vacuum cleaner cleaning her office. I love her. Love her to death. Sorry about that. Okay, so anatomical difference 2 is our answer to our 4-part question. Number 2 is this wiring difference, right? Everybody cool? Third difference, let's go ahead and do the third difference, is the origin of these nerves. I've already told this one. Where's the origin of the sympathetic nerve? Spinal cord, sacral nerves. The parasympathetic is the vagus and maybe a sacral nerve, but mainly the vagus nerve, one of the 12 cranial nerves. And we got this all in pictures in just a second, okay? But while I'm here, let's just go ahead and if y'all don't mind, we'll just answer the questions here. Then we can kind of look at it together, okay? So first part is functional difference. Second part is wiring, anatomical difference. Third part, which I really usually make second, which you can get these in any order, I don't care. But the third point is, where does it start? And I've already told you, the sympathetic nerves are 31 spinal cord nerves, and the parasympathetic is the vagus nerve, cranial nerve number 10. Now I'm going to show you that in pictures in just a second. Everybody got that? Everybody with me? All right, while we're here, let's just go ahead and answer the other one because I can draw it on this picture, and then that way we'll be done with this question. The fourth difference is the neurotransmitters they use at these synapses. Now watch me here. We got a synapse here and here, right? On the organ. Parasympathetic, we got what? A synapses here and synapses number 2 here. Everybody with me? On the organ. Okay, now watch this. It's real easy. Everybody uses acetylcholine at the ganglion. Everybody releases acetylcholine here. That's the same one we use for muscle contraction, by the way. Isn't that kind of cool? The parasympathetic also releases acetylcholine on the organ. Everybody with me? And then the sympathetic releases norepinephrine. Epinephrine, which is adrenaline, which is an EpiPen, which is an inhaler. So that goes back to my story the other day. Remember I told you when we had our second baby and we're in that room waiting on my wife to go to sleep so they could cut the alien out of her by a C-section. The crash cart had little syringes for the baby of what? Acetylcholine and norepinephrine, right? If the baby's born a crack baby and they're having a heart attack because the heart's beating too much, drop some acetylcholine into the baby's bloodstream, and the heart rate will go down. If she's stillborn and there's no heartbeat, norepinephrine will make the heartbeat go back up. Pretty cool way to remember this stuff, right? So I hope that story helped you the other day. All right. That is our short answer question on the 4 differences between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. Once again, their function. Number 2, the anatomical differences, right? Short cable, long cable, short cable. 3, where does it start at? Sympathetic, 31 spinal nerves, parasympathetic, vagus nerve, and then these neurotransmitter differences. Okay, acetylcholine for parasympathetic, acetylcholine, norepinephrine, or adrenaline for sympathetic. Everybody okay? Now we're going to now look at those. We're going to run through these and check this. We got a few more things, and we're still going to get out of here way early. We're now going to look at some pictures to show you what I just went over. And a little bit more we'll look at. Here it is. Look, great picture here. Sympathetic, thoracic, spinal lumbar. Look, acetylcholine here. Right? Acetylcholine here. Acetylcholine on the target organ. Norepinephrine, adrenaline, whatever. Epinephrine here. Look, short, long, long, short. Pretty cool. Pretty easy, just listing, test question, right? And I told you that's your anatomy for this. Okay. Now we'll look at this. And as she's talking about that, I've already said all that. Here are the sympathetic nerves here coming off the spinal cord. And here's parasympathetic, mainly the vagus nerve and a little bit of the sacral nerves coming out. As I just said. And there is a balance between these two. So they're always firing at the same time. It's just which one is more active determines your body state. Okay. Now she does sympathetic first. And I'm going to go to the table because I don't care about all this. I just want to, here's the neurotransmitter, right? Acetylcholine is the first one, and norepinephrine or adrenaline is the second one. So I just talked about that. Now here's a little more detail because people, you might wonder why does acetylcholine make the smooth muscle fire into my stomach, but it stops heart beating, right? Well, to help God do that, he has different receptors for these. Alpha receptors and beta receptors are the 2 different receptors for acetylcholine. Alpha receptors are found in the gut, kidneys and stuff. And then look, the next one is beta receptors. And these are found in cardiac muscle and smooth muscle. Now, how many of y'all got family members taking beta blockers? See, this is making sense now, right? Beta blockers will prevent them from what? Getting excited, right, too much, right? And it slows down the heart so it won't beat too much. So beta blockers are drugs that stop the norepinephrine from binding here and hurting the heart. Okay, pretty cool. Or excuse me, did I get that right? I get my story straight. Yeah, acetylcholine there, or whichever one that is, norepinephrine. Yeah, so these are alpha and betas are what norepinephrine binds to. So if you have a beta blocker, then you stop the sympathetic nervous system from me getting all pumped up and making myself have a heart attack because it stops the sympathetic from firing up the heart. That's freaking pretty cool, right? Y'all learn someday, right? So beta blockers have a purpose. They block the receptors that norepinephrine, adrenaline would bind to on your heart to make your heart race. And if you're a stressed out person, always nervous, take some of these drugs, you'll be chilled, man, because your heart can't get excited. Literally, you can't raise your heart rate. Okay, acetylcholine, you're going to love this, has 2 receptors type 2 that it can bind to. Muscarinin, named after a mushroom toxin that we first discovered it in, found on the sweat glands. And here's the one that absolutely blows my mind. The postganglionic neurons, in other words, that where acetylcholine is released, is a nicotinic receptor. Whoa, what'd you call it, Robin? Back in the 40s and 50s, the freaking cigarette industry discovered that nicotine is addictive, and they named the freaking receptor nicotinic receptors before we even figured out that's how God makes acetylcholine work. So we've known for 100 years that cigarettes are addictive. The freaking receptors named after nicotine. My goodness. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard, right? But it was They were probably working at the American tobacco industry, figuring out. So basically, y'all, a cigarette is a syringe. It is a drug delivery mechanism. They know the milligrams of nicotine you get every time you smoke a cigarette. It's crazy. Okay, think about that. So those are the two receptors for acetylcholine. Okay. And I'm not going to go crazy on that, but you can see now how God can have them have different functions, right? Because of different receptors. Okay, and I'm not going to go into all that. I'm going to go to the main picture. And there are different beta receptors as we see here. But look, and I already showed you all these, right? But look at this. These are the sympathetic nerves and what they do in the body. Eye dilation, increased secretions of salivary glands, increased heart rate, increased vasodilation, increased breathing, increased sweating, right? So when you get nervous, you sweat. First time I flew in a plane, I flew to Dallas to go to a Dallas Cowboy game. I got off, it looked like you poured a gallon of milk under my arm, right? Because I'd never flown before. I was scared to death to fly. Still don't like it. But show me driving 8 hours. And then cuts off all digestion. Look at that. Cuts all that off, right? And then there's the receptors that they have. Now, I'm not going to make you know, but here it is. It shows a receptor that the norepinephrine binds to on that organ. Okay? So that's how God can have different functions in different parts. He has different receptors. That gives us a little more control. I may have a question about what does the sympathetic do to the heart rate, stuff like that. So this table is open for test questions, okay? Possibly. Okay, and now let's go to the other one here is kind of cool. Another cool thing is when you get scared, your adrenal gland, which is a gland above your kidney, gets sympathetic nerves, and you release the hormone epinephrine, which is adrenaline also. So this is one of the hormones it's a neurotransmitter, and it's a hormone both, and that triggers up. And this is a big debate in biology, but y'all heard of these things where like a woman can open a door on a car and a child's burning in it, and you get super strength? I don't think you get super strength, but I think if you get adrenaline flowing, you can do 100% of what your muscles can do, and maybe pop that door hinge, right? For 1 second, you get everything firing. Okay, that's adrenaline, and that's the whole coaches firing people up, getting them scared, right? People run real fast when they get scared, right? I always said, man, you give me a runner that comes in third and hold a gun to his wife right before the race, I bet he wins. Okay. Don't do that. I'm just saying. But if you think you're going to get scared, by the way, has anybody ever been running and have somebody shoot at you? I hear you get real fast. Okay. I've never been shot at, but I would imagine that would make me run real fast. Okay. Okay. If you're scared, you're getting all of it going. You're going to get everything you can do. Okay. All right. Moving on. It talks about that. Y'all can read through that. Now let's go to the other one. And it just talks about, y'all can read through alpha and beta blockers and stuff like that. Some of these can affect weight drugs. I mean, we all know about that. We want to speed up metabolism. So a lot of the ephedrins and stuff will make your sympathetic nerves fire, so your heart rate goes up. So you can lose weight by, okay, I just say it right here. You show me somebody on crystal meth, and I'll show you somebody thin with no teeth. So if you know people who've done crystal meth, they lose a lot of weight, and they usually rot their teeth out, because that speeds up your metabolism, right? Okay. Now I'm not encouraging that. Okay. Actually had an interesting one time. We were doing this lecture on the brain, yesterday's lecture, and this girl stopped the class. She goes, "Do you think I look okay?" And I'm like, "Dude, I ain't going there, man. I don't guess age, and I don't grade women in general. I think that's degrading in itself. No." And she goes, and then she said, "Well, y'all think I'm hot?" And like 5 or 6 boys in the room go, "Yeah, you hot." So she was pretty good looking. And she says, "Do you think cocaine could be hurting me?" And I'm like, "What?" And she said, "I started doing cocaine about 6 months ago, and I've lost 40 pounds. And I said, "That's not a real weight loss drug you want to take." And so the girl came to Northwest. She was about 30 pounds overweight, never had a date, very beautiful, but just 30 pounds overweight. This 5th-year junior here at Northwest, drug dealer, found her, started giving her cocaine, and it tends to lower your inhibitions and make you in the mood for sex. So she was having a great time doing cocaine and having lots of fun with her boyfriend. And I tried to get her some help. No, she was like, "No, I like being thin and beautiful. and I like cocaine. Finished the year, I don't hear from her. That was the fall. About March, I get a phone call on Friday morning, 7 o'clock. She crying, or 8 o'clock in my office. It's her. I'm like, what's going on? She goes, I need help. Now, don't call me up and ask me something, people, if you don't want the truth. And she said, last night, me and my boyfriend went out, and he had a little thing of cocaine. I really wanted some cocaine. I really, really, really wanted my drugs. She's addicted now. And this other guy got in a car that she didn't know. And they went out partying, drinking, and he got the cocaine out, and she's all ready. And he says, no, I'll sleep with him first. Then you can have your drug cocaine. True story. And I said, what'd you do? She said, I slept with him and then did cocaine and then slept with my boyfriend. And she goes, what does that make me? And you don't want to know what I said it made her. It made her a prostitute. Okay? Well, long story short, we got her in a rehab, and she's now a school teacher in another state, and she's gained 20 pounds back. That's been 20 years. She's doing fine. Be careful with drugs, people. Cannot tell you how many students' lives I've seen really almost destroyed with drugs. And crystal meth, this is how my law enforcement people describe it. Imagine the most wonderful thing you've ever felt, and please don't anybody say anything. Just imagine the most pleasure you've ever had. Now multiply that times 1,000, that's crystal meth. That's crystal meth. Then you will sell your children, you'll sell your soul, you will steal from the people you love to what? Get that high again. So somebody gets out to crystal meth, I encourage you to run fast, okay? Because I've seen too many people's lives ruined with this stuff. Okay, and we don't know how it works either. So they're the guinea pigs, okay? So I can't think it's going to be good. All right, here we go, parasympathetic. And she's going through all of them. I'm going to go to the table, but here they are. Now look at that vagus nerve. We have a little oculomotor nerve, facial nerve, but the vagus nerve goes to the heart, the lungs, all the digestive organs, the kidneys, bladder, little sacral nerve down here too. And look, constricts the eyes, makes tears, slows heart rate, constricts bronchioli, slows down breathing rate. Okay, fires digestion. Whoa, let's break down food. Fires all this up, right? Let's make some urine. Fires up the kidneys, relaxes the sphincters. By the way, both of these relax sphincters. So if you're in a car wreck, you urinate on yourself. That's pretty normal. Okay, if you get real scared, you're gonna urinate. You're gonna micturate on yourself. So don't worry about that. Okay, it just happens when you get really scared. Okay, and I think we said here, I'm not going to go into too much. Don't want to be too ugly about it, but it also, in order for the male and female reproductive system to work, specifically for the male to be able to deliver sperm, you have to have both of these working. So you have to have the parasympathetic to excite the male and the sympathetic nerves to complete the male event. Okay, and of course the female doesn't have to enjoy that. As we know, women can get raped and terribly wrong and get pregnant, right? So that's just, but the female system doesn't require a firing of all that, okay, to make a baby, which is, another story that I don't even want to get into today, okay? But anyway, pretty wild. Nice one here, showing once again how it kind of works together. They're always firing at the same time, okay? And I think that's enough. Oh, there's a cool, crazy picture showing how it all, look at that. All of that controlling the body. Look at that. It's just a pretty cool picture there. I can't get my arrow to come up over there for some reason now. I'm still in pen mode or whatever, but very fascinating. Look at that. The brain, cerebral cortex, who you are, the reticular formation, consciousness, and look at that. Sympathetic, parasympathetic controls heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, urine production, metabolism, respiratory rate, body temperature. All that is controlled by those systems. Very, very amazing thing God has done here. All right, I think I've had enough today. We're out really early. All right, questions, anybody? Everybody cool? So I told you we're pretty short on this one, right? So my discussion question, 3 or 4 point discussion question. Everybody's got the 3 discussion questions, right? Okay, I would say out of 12, I've got a lot of multiple choice on the main parts of the brain. Remember that table that had all the pictures with function? That's a good one to review because but there's no labeling, okay? But just parts of the brain and what they do. All right, anybody else? Hey, worked out pretty good. We got out a little early today. I mean, we run pretty hard, so I don't have a problem with that. I do have a meeting I got to be at 11. So I do appreciate y'all coming at 12. So 11 o'clock people, thank y'all for coming a little hour late. I appreciate that. And we're all going to take it in the, right up, just meet at the lab door out there in the hall. But, don't get up 50 people. Don't everybody get in a big circle and get everybody COVID, but stay spread out and we'll all go down there in that computer lab together. I'm going to get gloves and some more masks if y'all want to just put them on and go in there and we'll take that lab final. Okay. Any questions? Anybody? All right. All right. I'm gonna cut. Hey, I really have. If I don't get a chance to tell y'all tomorrow, because when y'all hand the test, I might be talking to somebody. I really have enjoyed y'all. I hate that I'm not going to be able to do part 2 with y'all, and I really mean that. So that's a compliment I don't always say, but I would love to have. I think I would love to have taught y'all A&P 2. Miss Dickens is an amazing teacher. We've been friends. Her daughter's on the cover of the book. She did all the mastering homework for our book. I just one of my best friends on earth. So y'all in great hands, and I think y'all will love her. If not, I'll see y'all around. I'll see y'all tomorrow for the final, but today. But thank y'all for taking the class. Y'all can go and get in the car, whatever you got to do. Y'all have a good day. See y'all in a little while. We're loud. I'll hang on if anybody's got a question. Somebody wake Megan up. I'm picking. Anybody got a question? Sarah, a question? Anybody? I'll try to get these up online. I'll get them up. Where y'all can review the lecture if y'all need to. All right. Anybody else? Logan, y'all good?